who can tell your story better than you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you're an entrepreneur, unless it's your wife or your best friend that's witnessing your story, then no one else can articulate the story. And then also, if you're not famous like a Hollywood star, or you're not infamous, nobody cares to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to tell your story in order to be able to communicate, because business, there's equity in visibility. There's visibility equity that has a currency as well. In business and in life, it's what you know, who you know, or who knows you,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of us here, we don't know Theo. Theo Vaughn doesn't know us, but we know who he is, right? Theo
Right.
Vaughn could walk into your gym right now. Yo, Theo, your money's no good here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's currency,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He don't know us from a hole in the wall. So that's an important thing. When you understand the currency of it, then you understand how to use it to your benefit.
Welcome to another episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. I'm your host, Omar Cumberbatch of OmarCumberbatch.com. So excited for you to listen to this amazing episode where I actually get to interview the founders of the Lolli brands. This is Anthony Lolli and Tereza Lolli, who are absolutely crushing it. You probably see their documentaries on Amazon Prime because, forget it. It's been critically acclaimed, both of those particular documentaries, and they're actually coming up with a new documentary, which is going to be a highly anticipated 5-part documentary called Biohack Yourself. So please jump on and check out the show notes where you can find wonderful information about the Lollis, and I know you're going to feel their passion and just how much they care about the health space, specifically coaching, and just how they're just super examples of people who actually utilize many coaches in a variety of ways and abilities in their lives and their kids' lives. So it's really something that I'm really excited to share with you guys. So let's jump into the show. Hey, welcome to the show, my power couple. I'm so excited to have you both here. I've done so much research on what you guys have done, and I really appreciate you jumping on the show to just share all your background and everything with the audience. So thanks again.
Of course.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So listen, first off, I want to just kind of get an idea of your background story. I want to know who hit on who first.
Yeah, I mean, look, we you know, our backgrounds are very, very, very strategically aligned with your show, because both of us have a history of having not been in shape and in getting in shape and working with coaches. You know, on a personal level, we met organically. I was in a cafe. She was in a cafe. We were sitting. She was having a meeting. I was having a meeting. She was eavesdropping on my meeting. I was aware that she existed because she was a beautiful woman in a cafe. And she was in media and entertainment as a model, an actress, and a singer. And she, based on the business conversation I was having, she thought we were like music executives. And so she was looking for a location to shoot her music video. And I happened to have a mansion that I was using oftentimes in movies and music videos. I was working with many different artists and rappers from New York City. And then we became friends. You know, we were like platonic friends, very organic for months and months and months. And then eventually we got together and we started a media company with our kids, and it turned into one of the biggest longevity health and wellness platforms for biohacking and anti-aging, called Biohack Yourself. But the story really started, she met me when I was 315 pounds. I was 315 pounds, morbidly obese, out of control, ready to die by fatness, like many people eventually do. It's a slow death. It's a slow suicide, really, when you think about it. When you're out of shape, it brings so many other problems. Her, on the other hand, she was in great shape. And then all of a sudden, when we had kids, much like many women, she got out of shape with a mom bod.
Yeah. And frail, I would say.
Frail.
I lost a lot of my muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't walking much. I would say I was just constantly like stationary. So I was the other opposite spectrum of gaining muscle.
But we fit the demographic of what a coach would want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Fitness coaches. So we produced, starred, and developed the most watched fitness documentary ever made called From Fat Lolly to Six Pack Lolly, The Ultimate Transformation Story. We filmed it. I was the subject matter of it. It showcased me being 315 pounds, losing 125 pounds in 9 months with my wife's inspiration, my children, my wife by my side.
Every single day.
And we aired it
taped
during the pandemic. It showed the transformation, the training, me working specifically with a coach.
Yeah.
In the documentary.
I would say many coaches.
Many coaches, yeah. And, and basically in the documentary, I was like, I sucked. I was trying to coach myself. Most fat people or out of shape people think you know it all. And if you're a business owner with any type of success, then you really think you know it all. And so what happened was I needed to humble myself down and say, I don't know how to fix this problem, which was my body. I need to hire help.
And I think he got different when he realized no longer can it just rely on a trainer. It really needed to be an overall coach. The coach really gives you an overall understanding of your eating habits, your sleeping habits, your workout regimes, your cardio, your mental space, right? So going from just, working out with a trainer a session or two here to an overall coach who knew your overall motivation and your mindset and worked on your mindset day in and day out and was there for you, for him, every single day. That was a big, big change.
Yeah.
And I myself worked with, I think, 6 different coaches throughout the Super Lollies.
Yeah. Now, in total, I've worked with 32 different coaches.
Yeah.
Now we work with biohacking coaches.
Now we work with Yeah, we believe in coaching through and through. Me as a child back home in Armenia when I was growing up, I went to so many sports, and really based on the coach that I had, it shaped and formed my life in a way. I loved my ping pong coach. So ultimately I became a ping pong champion, a 3rd place champion. And then I didn't like, let's say, my swimming coach, and that kind of fell through. So we heavily believe in coaching. Our children are being coached now on all bases. We have a private pickleball coach. They have a swim coach.
Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu.
They have an etiquette coach. They have an acting coach. So yeah, we let the experts do what they're good at. And we're very good at taking directions and excelling because we have the mission and the motivation.
No, that's awesome. And I can not get a better plug for coaches than what you just said, because obviously you're super successful and you see the results on a day-to-day basis, just looking at your feed. So one of the things that I wanted to jump into right away, because this is something I deal with, of course, but a lot of people I know do have some hesitation. You're basically broadcasting so many aspects of your life, yourself, your children. How did you come to that comfortability being on camera, being documented to the extent that you guys are really filming and taking in all the different aspects of your life? Can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
He was that way. Even the day we met, he was already self-recording everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, my dad, when you look at the documentary, right, we talk about my dad. My dad used to run around with a bird on his shoulder and put the bird on your shoulder and take a Polaroid picture and charge you $5 and called it Photo with the Parrot. I was always around cameras. I was always around things like that. To be honest with you, I was never really wanting to be in front of the camera. I liked being behind the scenes. But then when I became successful in business, I started getting nominated for awards. I started getting written up. I started getting invited to Fox, CNN, ABC, CBS. And then I had stories that went viral where 100 people tattooed my company logo on their body because I helped them make money and they enjoyed. So it's almost like who can tell your story better than you? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then when you're an entrepreneur, unless it's your wife or your best friend that's witnessing your story, then no one else can articulate the story. And then also, if you're not famous like a Hollywood star or you're not infamous, nobody cares to tell your story. Mm-hmm. So you have to tell your story in order to be able to communicate, because business, there's equity in visibility. There's visibility equity that has a currency as well. In business and in life, it's what you know, who you know, or who knows you, right? All of us here, we don't know Theo. Theo Von doesn't know us, but we know who he is, right? Theo Von could walk into your gym right now. Yo, Theo, your money's no good here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's currency, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know us from a hole in the wall. So that's an important thing. When you understand the currency of it, then you understand how to use it to your benefit.
Now, I just wanted to add on my side of things. I actually always wanted to be a performer. So I'm the complete opposite, where I wouldn't document my day to day. I wouldn't document the unpolished things of rehearsals and failed recordings or any of that. I would only want to be a performer at perfection level, right? Whereas this guy, he would want to document the process. And to me, when we met, that was actually very enlightening, because I'm a very organized person. So like throughout my entire life, all of my photo albums, video albums, documentation was all extremely organized in my Dropbox, in my Google Drive. I can tell you, since the moment we met in 2013, my organization went out of whack, because it was too much content being created on day to day, this casual, candid thing. So I think this is why we made a perfect couple, because he loves the imperfection process, documenting, and then I love the perfection and polished product. So we kind of bring both to all of our projects. And then our kids are also our projects. So when they were born at 14 days old, I booked our daughter her first job, which was Pampers Swaddler's print ad. And then she started making money and getting out and really interacting with adults. And I noticed as a little baby, she was talking sooner than most kids. She was walking sooner than most kids. She was more friendly than most kids. And her confidence was like incredible at the age of 2. There were no terrible twos and tantrums, because she was so busy being loved by everyone and cherished. So we kept going. And in fact, we brought our son into that. In the interim, they made money and they bought real estate. But the main asset that we were gaining out of this kind of visibility, them being on camera and being in projects, was the confidence. So now they are born feeling comfortable with camera and appearances. So that makes us the perfect family to go around and document all of our journeys and put them out. So our audience follows us and learns so much from what we're learning.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And that's a great gift to give to your children, because not a lot of kids have that. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So speak on about the authenticity part, because I think that's what's so attractive to, you and your brand, and, kind of ditching that perfectionism thing and just kind of just showing people a product that's real.
Yeah. I mean, look, in the Fat Lolli documentary, we showcased me having blood bags and my wife literally wiping my behind because I had to poop standing up. And that actually resonated with audiences. Women were reaching out to her on social media, like, how do I get my husband? What did you do to get your husband motivated? That we had no idea. In fact,
1,000 whiplashes.
There was we were actually having arguments about keeping that scene in the movie. And I said, look, I think we should do it, because she was breastfeeding and wiping my ass. It was like, as there was poop all over. I was like, hon, this is real. This is our life.
Stunk
and then that's what did it. And then men were like, yo, bro, I'm like you. Because I spoke to the 1%. I didn't hide who I was. I didn't hide the Rolls Royce. I didn't hide the mansion. I wanted to talk to my kind. There's a lot of us out there. There's business owners that have it all but don't have their health. And there's business owners that you cannot buy health. You cannot buy someone to work out for you. So no matter how smart you are, how powerful you are, how much money you have, you got to do those push-ups. You got to eat that food. So that really resonated. And then at the end of the documentary, I said to the camera, I said, but I bet you're thinking it's because I'm rich that money bought me this. No, it did not. Because when we competed backstage, that was not a multimillionaire networking event. That was all regular people, truck drivers, post office workers, single moms, nurses, all of them investing in coaching, all of them having coaches. There's a coach for your budget. I don't care. Yeah. They exist. And so we recognize that the people that are committed backstage, and all of our friends and all of our, obese friends and all of our mom friends, everybody that was competing, taking their shirts off with loose skin and all, with stretch marks, they did not have money. We were way above the income bracket of anybody.
And we've actually, like I said, we've touched so many coaches, and there's such a big range of pricing. Like, we've met incredible coaches that only charge $250 a month.
Right.
And they're available on text, and they're available on calls. And you're like, I don't like this meal. Can you substitute this with sweet potatoes? How many grams? What? Like literally hand holding you and babysitting you for $250 for the entire month.
Right.
And they're invested heavily in your success. They'll take your photos. They're looking at your physique for competition purposes. But aside from that too,
and even personal trainers, like the guy that in the documentary, Francisco, who died in the documentary too, he was a Dominican barber who owned real estate in DR and wanted real estate coaching in New York to build his portfolio. When I met him, I said, bro, I can teach you. This is what I do, real estate, like no problem. So there was a value exchange. So he's teaching me how to get in shape. I'm teaching him how to. So there's a lot of things that you could do, like swapping, you know? And so there's a lot.
No, definitely. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think what is considered, at least when a lot of people are starting out, that health coaching is a saturated market. I think that's bullshit completely, because again, there's so many unhealthy people. So this is limitless access to actual people who want your services. But if you want to give them that, and okay, there's a lot of coaches, how do we stand out? What do you think is some of the first steps that a coach should be doing?
First of all, there's riches and niches, right? So there's two types of coaches. There's the one-on-one coaching, and then there's the coaches that want to get in and then scale. Right? They want to scale. That's a whole nother level of coaching. All I can tell you about is I love the one-on-one, and Tereza as well, knowing who my coach is. There's always going to be a market for that. That's a tailor. Mm-hmm. That's a tailor. There's always a market.
Like precision coaching, individualized coaching. That has always helped us. Like we would go out with our coaches, we would hang out, we would talk with them. And the fact that they would be available and invested in your success made us want to keep going to them, right? So we were a repeat customer. Our customer value was pretty long, you know.
And a referral basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, referring business.
And now I also worked with a coach who was a scaled coach, and he dumped me on one of the assistants, and all I had to do was go through the app and put my things, and it was a lot more on me. And even that experience that I was already winning awards and I was a 2-time bikini pro, I was like, this is like, I can't do this. It seemed overwhelming versus the ones that are available over the call. And you know, when you're just starting, all you need is that push, that availability, and then it becomes easier, right? So those coaches that want that kind of success, they need to know that they need to dedicate time.
Right. And by the way, if you want to be a high income coach earner, you got to work with high income people, and high income people want personalization.
Yeah.
That's it.
And right now we are seeing in the biohacking field, right? If you're knowledgeable in the biohacking world and the keto diet, the fasting diet, and all of that, you got to add value to your knowledge so then you can be that overall coach to your client. I mean, how much more your coaching can be valuable if you're telling them go to infrared sauna.
Yeah.
You know,
like our current coaches now, every week they're like, yo, you got to try this brain optimization peptide. You got to do this. They're out there in the field, going to conferences, getting educated, bringing us the latest and the greatest information. Hey, I just tested this. This is great. You know, so that's how you could sell yourself. It's very easy because most entrepreneurs, if you're successful, you're unavailable. So you just sell availability.
Right.
I'm just thinking, right? If I was a coach, let's say, and I was that available, then you would basically be living your life for your clients too. If let's say you have
yes and no, because you can increase your pricing, right? You can increase your pricing. If you're that much in demand, then you could increase your pricing. And that happens all the time. See, what happens in the coaching industry, we know because we ran a very large coaching business where based on the documentaries, we were referring coaches and we were doing 50-50 rev share. We stopped doing that because people they would watch the documentary or the docuseries and they're like, I want to be coached by Anthony. I want to be coached by Tereza. But we're too busy. So we were referring it out. But what happens is similar to what happens to Equinox is the coach comes in and trains under Equinox, right? And there's a high level, wealthy people going to Equinox. Then they're like, yo, bro, like I'm thinking about going on my own. And then they take the 10 clients, there's rapport, there's secrets, there's intimacy, there's, I don't want to, I got to eat this cake or whatever, like all these things that people do when they relate to their coach. And then then they take them and then they leave Equinox and then it's great. But then people move, people get divorced, people get married. And then now they go back to a new well because they don't have marketing skills. And so that happened to us. We were referring business and we were getting clients that were paying $2,000, $3,000, $20,000 a month for coaches. We have billionaires and multimillionaires. Mm-hmm. And then the coaches, because the industry, most people, when they turn to coaching, it's a certain demographic of person. It's a person that was coached and was like, I would like to make a living. Like, I bet you I could help my friends and a lot of that, but they don't have business experience. They don't, it's a lot. And so they don't know marketing. So they get stuck with having to find clients and then they need to go find a new well. So that's why we stopped that industry business and focused on other things. But it was nice when it lasted. Helped a lot of people, helped a lot of coaches.
I think another thing that helped me choose a certain coach before in my experience was, let's say the coach was more of a higher end, wasn't totally scaled, but also wasn't the totally available coach, somewhere in the mid-level where I was like, yeah, he's going to take me to my pro card. He provided me with weekly availability. It was like, we can have 2 times a week, 1 hour conversation, right? To me, that was very comforting. I was like, okay, he's not going to be texting and messaging me. I'm not going to be he's not going to be on call, but at least I have 2 hours of his time a week. So I could jot down my notes and I can actually get all the information during our call. So that was another very helpful thing, helped me select certain coaches, I would say, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, it all depends. Like we did a documentary called The Guru with George Farah, one of the most famous coaches, coach of all coaches. We did his documentary, started working with George on bulking. And that was such an interesting experience. But George works with super pros. He did Dr. Jackson, Kai Green. Like some coaches, their coaching style is different when you're on the pro level. I became a muscle model pro. She became a 2-time bikini pro.
But that's a good point you're bringing up. So like with George Farah, for example, right? He has been impressed so many times by so many athletes who live and die muscles that our tiny mini achievements were like nothing for him.
Like nothing. Whatever.
For example, I wouldn't get inspired to go harder, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. You got to really know who you're choosing as your coach. Like you want to impress your coach, right?
Right.
So that them being impressed impresses you right back, and you're going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really. And one other thing I learned from Anthony, it's okay to keep going and change a coach and find the better one that actually fits you. To me, I'm like so loyal. If I find a coach, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make it work. I'll fight with that person. I'll make him learn me and what I like and whatever. And I'll keep going like that. But it actually was the wrong approach. The right approach was if there's no synergy and if there's something that's blocking the inspiration, because working out, bodybuilding is already hard enough. You got to psych yourself up, especially for women, there's weeks at a time where you're just down. You don't want to go, right? So if your coach is there and inspiring and motivated by your success, motivated and befriending to you too, and really thinking of even your cycles, right? Hey, did you get your cycles? Are you tracking that today? Let's not go heavy because you're actually on your 3rd day of your cycle. You should be taking it easy. These kind of
and I remember when Mike, was like, go eat a burger, go eat a cheeseburger, go eat some fries. Like, I love those moments where you're like hoping that you've earned it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, like Tereza said, there has to be that chemistry, that synergy and competence.
Yeah. And again, like you also plateau out, right? Like, so you'll reach your goal and then you all want to go a little bit higher. That might not be the same coach that you need to get from this point A to point B. And that's one of the things that I learned just in business. Like, there's that coach who gets you to 6 figures. Then there's that coach that gets you to 7. It's a thing. So I definitely respect that. And I'm glad that you brought up marketing because that is the one thing that health coaches who are just starting out really are really concerned about. They're generally not marketers. They're not very much into the business aspect of a lot of things because they're just healers. They want to help. They want to change lives. what have you found to be maybe the best marketing strategies for someone who's not very experienced in marketing? What kind of advice would you tell them?
Well, look, there's different levels, right? There's website, there's social media. There's a lot of free marketing that you can do
Mhm.
that money can't buy. Having a social media brand that's organic, that has that provides value, and that's on trend. You know what I mean? It has to be on trend.
Mhm.
Instagram and social media is a lot like music, and if you're not speaking the rhythm of the algorithm and the rhythm of the eyeballs,
Mhm.
and you come across old and antiquated, and now it could look like you're wearing a 1960s bell bottoms that's not in style or whatever, you know what I mean? And so it boils down to you being hip and and understanding your audience, and whatever that you're doing that's free, that's working. If you put money onto it, it will work on a greater scale. But putting perfume on a turd is not going to change the fact that it's a turd. So putting ads, spend money on stuff that's not working organically. So first figure out the free stuff, right? It's like same thing like with coaching. Like if all of a sudden you're getting a lot of referrals, then your coaching is working, right? If all of a sudden people are getting in shape and they're sticking with you, then you're a good coach.
Right.
That's your telltale sign, right? And so now let's scale or increase our prices. So that my suggestion is marketing will run to you. Like, and if you have a good product, there's 1,000 marketing agencies are like, yeah, give me this much, and we're gonna just throw gasoline on the fire. Boom, 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 boom. This is what you're doing wrong. I got it from here, right? You have to have a good product.
Well, me as a woman, I found all of my coaches through their results. And what do I mean with that? Let's say I had targeted to go compete with WBFF, right? I would go to the WBFF Instagram and website, and I will search all the winners and who looks amazing. Then I would go back and stalk their Instagram and find who their coach is.
Okay.
So, same thing with right now. There's running clubs, there are cold plunge clubs. There's obviously the entire bodybuilding community that is really, really based on coaching alone. And what I say is I look at coaches as like recording labels, right? You got to have your Rihannas, you got to have your Beyoncés, you got to have your Jay-Z's. Once you have polished and like incredible looking athletes or runners or, one of those models, right, that you can actually showcase, then it just starts coming when you're kind of going around in the communities, you're going in those shows, you're going and you're talking to people. I actually believe in the old school personal touch. Like I love when people are, on the ground, going to all the shows, going to the expos, going to the bodybuilding shows, the run clubs, the cold plunges, because those people are all into health. You're going to find clients. Then you're going to say, hey, look at my last, person. They just won this and this competition, for example. Then they are with bikini showing their muscles. You're like, oh, you know what you're doing. So that's how I've booked my coaches. I've found my coaches through their results, mostly on Instagram.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I find that health coaches can easily get testimonials. That's kind of our bread and butter, especially when we're starting out. So yeah, get the pictures, get the before and afters.
100%.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. So I guess one of the things that I was also curious about, because what you're doing, I want to give you a lot of credit to, is being a couple, working together, being together in that unit. I'm sure an unbelievable amount of time. What advice would you give to people who are trying to create something like that? Because obviously we know marriage is difficult. It's just the way it is.
Marriage is hard. Working together, marriage is easy. Working together is hard, right?
Well, no, I think
expand on that.
Yeah, what it boils down to is really, do you want your significant other building someone else's dream? Because they're going to work for somebody. They're going to work on somebody. It doesn't matter. If they're a school teacher, they're working on somebody else's kid. You know what I mean? If they're if they're working in IT or a doctor, they're working on somebody else's health. And so why can you not take that same skill and bring it to the house, keep it in house? And so once you make that determination, we're like, hey, we want to help build our dreams and help our, and so like, a lot of times people make money to pay a total stranger to watch their kid so that your wife or your husband can help another total stranger make money to have another total stranger watch their kid. That's really like what happens. And so you don't have to subscribe to that, right? Like you can completely, it's adopt a new religion, let's say, of how the household income and how the house should be derived. And this is something that her and I intentionally designed. Fortunately, I'm older. I'm 47. She's 37. So I was already set in a lot of different ways financially, and I was semi-retired, and then I fully retired when I exited my company, and then I've sold many companies since then. And I was in a fortunate position to have her focus on being a full-time mom and a full-time wife. However, she was not having that. She wanted to be more than just a mom, as she called it. She wanted to really kind of flex her artistic and entertainment skills by co-producing and co-directing and doing things together. And then, of course, being a super mom, she was the health advocate. We joke around, we work with the Maha. We produced the Maha Ball. Bobby Kennedy is in Biohack Yourself. Del Bigtree, the CEO of Maha, is in SHIELD. We joke around. We're saying Tereza was Maha, make Anthony healthy again. Was when I was fat, years before that word was invented. She was all about that. And so, she was already working on me. And then I came in and said, why the hell am I coaching all of these other strangers to be successful? Why can't I just do the same type of data transferring into my wife? So we got involved more intimately in business affairs, real estate affairs, entertainment affairs, and obviously the affairs of our kids. We made them superstars, actors, and models, and then we involved them in our documentaries.
But obviously, it's not easy, right? So when we first were together for a long time, we weren't really working together, but we were still doing projects with each other, which was, projects of our kids or projects for our life and stuff like that. So we would actually have goal lists. Like we would say, the goals for this next year is this, even they were non-working, right? For the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years. So we always aligned ourselves with our goals, regardless if we were working with each other or not. Now it's even better because we've practiced that for so many years that it's just no problem to sit down in 1 hour and write down all of our business goals, all of our division goals, and all of our management goals, right? Our employee goals and stuff like that. So it's a language that we've learned to speak during non-intense cooperation, I would say, right? When it's not that intense, when you're not working with each other, we were already great speaking that same language with each other, that we must integrate each other into each other's lives in every single way. And so, like you said, why would he want me to go and build somebody else's empire, right? Because I was already getting antsy. I was like, yeah, I want to get out. I want to work. And then on the other side, like, why would I want him to share his wins and his, work success with teams of other people? Let's say that team could be us. So there's a lot of that. Like we love each other's companies. And the way we make it work, I would say, is we both have humility, massive amount of humility. We both have massive amount of intelligence and I would say certain level of ego. But when it comes to humility, we would both say, yep, sorry, that was me, not going to happen again. Let's say there was a mistake, right? We would understand, and we're real with each other. We don't argue for the sake of arguing. Let's say there's work things that are, hard this week, or, something is going on, or things happen in business. We have the humility to always forgive each other, to always take on the responsibility and say, okay, so what do we do next? We're always living in the future, planning in the future. So I think that helps a lot with everything that we have going on. I would suggest that. And for the couples that have their careers and they have to work with others, that's perfect. But bring some projects in-house.
I think also,
that's what I would say.
And on this topic, I think it's important that you need to read the room. What do I mean by that? A 2-leader will not attract a 5 worker or a 5 partner. What do I mean by that? Like, it's like you said, sometimes you'll outgrow your coach, right? The Planet Fitness guy is not going to bring you to Mr. Olympia stage, right? So same thing. Like, who's leading the charge in the business? How much business experience do you have? Because there could be arguments because of incompetence. Like, why did you make this decision? I don't know. You told me. Like, meanwhile, you don't know the first thing about opening up a pizzeria. And now you're trying to, you don't know how to cook pizza. Like, all you did was order one. And like, hey, it's a great. So sometimes the business surroundings are doomed because you don't have a coach in that.
Right. No, that makes tons of sense. And again, like I guess to end the call, because I promise you I'll give you like 30 or 40 minutes and we're right on that time. Again, it's been a wonderful time. It's gone so quick, and it's a demonstration of how good of a guest you both are.
Thank you.
What's your next steps? What can we be looking out for?
Well, first of all, we have a magazine that we launched. It's called Biohack Yourself. It's based on the documentary Biohack Yourself that's streaming on Amazon and multiple different streaming platforms. But what's happening now is that this documentary series, 5 of them, and then we have a new one coming out called Shield, which is a female-based documentary, She Healed, have literally positioned the audience to be able to win at life, to basically make themselves healthy again. Maha is Make America Healthy Again, but Make America Healthy Again starts with you. Yeah. And so what the intentionality was, Tereza was like, look, since we're going to heal ourselves, and believe me, just because I lost weight doesn't mean I was healthy. Just because she became a 2-time bikini pro and was able to compete and her hormones were thrown out of whack from competing naturally.
Yeah.
My situation was I needed to optimize my brain and heal some of my inside organs that I damaged from all the alcohol and the unhealthy eating and all the packaged food. I didn't clean that up. All I did was lose weight. I didn't do anything necessarily healthy. And then our daughter had a lymph node on her neck that was the size of a golf ball. Our son had mold toxicity that was misdiagnosed. My wife had a diastasis recti where her abs were like popping out. So we had issues. And even us with the experience, we were lost. We were like, who do we talk to? What's going on? My wife is the biggest health advocate and health detective. And even with my contacts, connections, resources, and fame, we were still helpless. Imagine people that don't have the time or the resources or the name power. So we said, we need to be informed. We need to fix our problems, first of all. But my wife is always generous and is like, we need to help other people. The same way we help people lose weight, the same way we help couples become fit together. Let's help couples biohack themselves. And she titled it Biohack Yourself. And so when we interviewed 114 people, literally in less than a year, we put it together in 19 months. For 19 months, we started marketing and advertising it on our Biohack Yourself media, Instagram. Now it's like, how many visitors? 13 million a month coming to the social media.
That's amazing.
So it's been insane, the reception. Now we have a magazine that's in 5,000 Barnes and Noble, all 24 hours, all the gyms. It's like crazy like that. Yeah. Biohack Yourself.
Okay. I think, I saw that on the one sheet. Yeah. So I checked it out. Yeah.
14,456.
Yep.
You know why? Because again, we're providing something you can't find somewhere else. We're doing the vetting. We're out there. We've got octopus arms. Like every peer review faculty group member that we have is vetting doctors, vetting products, vetting new practitioners and bringing them to us. Hey, this one is real. Let them publish their work in your magazine. This one is real. They just came up with the new, antioxidant, whatever. It's great. Allow them to advertise with you. So we are peer reviewed and we're doing an amazing job gathering the best of the best. So the audience doesn't have to waste time and go try wrong things.
We got journalists now that work for us, writing and reports and doing video news stories, visiting at conferences and events, interviewing people like Jordan Peterson. All these famous people are now coming to us to be on the cover of our magazine. Gary Brecka is going to be on the next edition.
Dropping July 21st.
After that is other big names that we're announcing that are like, hey, you guys are the Lolli brand group from Biohack Yourself. I want in whatever you guys are doing. Everybody's looking so we're just happy to be able to serve the community the way the community has served us.
No, that's awesome. I did see all the prominent speakers and influencers, all people I actually follow myself. So I guess to end the call, like, okay, how do I get down with you guys? How do I get cover? What do I need to do?
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
How do I get on the cover?
you got to take a number, man. That list is like, I'm telling you, the kind of people that are calling us. We're like, you want to be on our cover? Like, it was crazy. The big names.
It's the hottest thing right now. Yeah. Biohacking. I mean, the Kardashians are talking about it. Finally, it's out, but finally, it's clear that it's not just for the athletes, celebs, for the high elite. It's affordable. Like, there's incredible companies that are making it affordable. There is portable, zippable infrared saunas that you can buy for less than $900 from Therasage, for example. You can detox yourself. So there's so many things we've discovered in our documentaries. They're featured. They're playing on Amazon Prime. But then we continue to work on the magazine that's all over retail stores, Publix, Kroger, Major, Barnes and Noble, everywhere, and in Canada. And we call this is the first biohacking product because it actually has no blue light and no EMF. You can literally unplug yourself. And there's a huge tech-free movement that's happening. So people are preferring to just sit down with the good old magazine and actually read valuable advice and publications and understand new products and how they work. So that's what's next for us. Next is, continuing to bring biohacking to the masses, to the average person, because the average person is who's suffering the most. And we need to end that. The administration is doing their part, but if we just follow them and we just look lost, that's going to take years for the average person to get healthy. So we need to also take charge of our health and go biohack ourselves, as we say. We say, go biohack yourself.
No, amen. Listen, they said COVID was bad, but COVID actually brought the light and attention to health, right? And then now I saw the trajectory for like this biohacking thing just soars ever since 2020. And like you said, people are looking for cheaper alternate ways of doing it and just like the newest trends. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I'm glad that you guys are at the forefront of that. So tell us how to get in touch with you or your website, social media handles.
Yeah, it's biohackyourself.com and the Instagram is at Biohack Yourself Media. That's the Instagram. And so
the Biohack Yourself Magazine.
The Biohack Yourself Magazine. You want to just
for subscribe. You can subscribe. Get it. It's $24 for the whole year.
Oh,
you get it at your doorsteps. We make it. We make that also affordable.
Yeah, join the newsletter. We give you the latest and greatest information in our newsletter. There's a lot of free stuff, free content, free introductions. Like really, what we wanted to do is just give you a platform to make introductions. Imagine your best friend knows everybody and can introduce you to them. That's what biohackyourself.com is. It's like you said, your world's greatest, most favorite longevity people. No BS. The real people are on the platform, writing on the platform. We introduce you to their podcasts. We don't have a podcast. We don't want a podcast. All we want to do is tell you about the great podcasts that are out there. We don't have a product. We don't want a product. All we want to do is tell you about the products that we're using or the great people that we're representing have made. We meet the founders, so we know it's not like a big company with, people in lab coats.
And that's what we show in our documentaries also. We sit down with these founders who had massive pain to purpose stories and they built something. They birthed something amazing out of it.
Right.
So that's another.
We'll tell you where the events are. We don't have events. We cover events as a news organization. So we're everywhere that we need to be. And so we kind of are like your seeing eye dog, your tour guide. You want to biohack? You want to live long and healthy? Come to Biohack Yourself.
And also for the companies too. You're a new company trying to make a splash in the biohacking community, in the eyeballs. We are the best avenue to come to because we have omni-media approach.
We introduce new companies that are like this dude that we just took on as a big product is a cold plunge device. You put it next to your bathtub. Like you don't even need to have a big contraption. It's a little device. Like it looks like a portable air conditioning unit. It has a little sleeve that goes in your tub.
It makes it cold plunge.
Makes it cold plunge.
I think I saw that. I saw that. That was cool.
He's a big advertiser. He was with us at our premiere, in fact, on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And it's called The Home Plunge. And like, that's a company that is a founder led. He's a dad. He's a husband. He has kids, and he's an inventor. Like this dude here, if you read his story, it's like an incredible story of how he created it and everything. And
Real
so
stories.
like,
Yeah,
we're so
it's
proud
incredible.
of meeting these people and introducing him to our audience, and our audience benefiting from learning about his product. It's right there.
This one.
It's a little device. It's a sexy looking thing.
Yeah,
and
I
they
saw that.
just put it on there, and like, you know, it's like, wow. You know what I mean? So now you can live in a condo, you can live in an apartment, and you don't have to.
Biohack
you can still biohack.
You don't need a home.
That's awesome. Listen, you guys have been fantastic. Keep up the great work. I just love the energy that you're just demonstrating. It just shows how passionate you are about this. And I want to thank you again for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
Hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. If you did, jump over to iTunes and leave a rating and or review. It goes a long way in helping get this message out to our fellow health coaches and people in our industry. Also, if you can, jump over to my website, omarcumberbatch.com, where I give out a lot of freebies, including my 5-day sugar challenge for people who are having issues with sugar. And also for health coaches, I have the book, Hidden. It's the 6 not so obvious ways to get your clients unstuck. Have a great day.